Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Pyre Community RITE Night, which means of course some good old-fashioned multiplayer Pyre, featuring first and foremost none other than the members of the RITE Club Discord server, the place for all things multiplayer Pyre. And if you're interested in getting more involved in multiplayer Pyre, then look no further, because you can join said Discord group by clicking on that link right there. But those of you in chat, you are not off the hook. No, because you see the red circle with the white L below chat. You click on that and you'll find all of the various requests that you can make today, including things ranging from selecting players. Exiles, masteries, songs, arenas, even Titan Stars are all fair game. So, without further ado, let's hop back into versus mode here. Set ourselves to our default settings, but let me know if there's anyone who would like to get us started today. Also, for what it's worth, if I remember correctly, I think it was it last week when toward the end we were talking about the whole archetype system that I had made a few weeks ago, and I had said that I had misplaced the piece of paper on which I had written down the various archetype ideas. I have now tracked down that sheet of paper and I've transcribed it elsewhere, including some additional descriptions of the archetypes. So not only is it there now, should be quicker and easier for me to send that information to other people if that is something that we would like to do more of going forward. But how is everybody doing? Let me just check if anyone was saying they were looking to hop in to get us started today. Not sure I saw that, so let me know if anyone would like to. I suppose before I forget, let me hop into Discord. There we go. Okay, so I should be ready to go, and it looks like iRotor is ready to go as well. So let me get you an invite. There we are. Hey, iRotor, how's it going? That does mean we're looking for one other person here to face off against iRotor, if anyone is interested. Let me know if anyone is interested. Or I suppose if there is anything we would like to do setup-wise for our first match, although oftentimes it probably makes sense for us to establish who's in first. Okay, Core says he is interested and available. Let me see. Core... There you are. Lilac says, there's a whole list of requests prepared. Alrighty then. Do we have anything we're looking for this very first one, or are we thinking we'll give these two a chance to warm up with a standard match in which they take whatever they'd like at first?
Hello.
What's up, Ari? And, okay, so this is iRotor player 1, Core player 2, it looks like? Is that right?
Yes, I am player 2. I would like to be Chastity today.
Okay.
Actually, I'll be Accusers. Give me
Accusers? Okay, give me just a second
like to
here.
accuse someone.
This side is iRotor. This side is Core. You said Chastity is actually going to be...
Oh, Accusers.
Oh, sorry, Accusers. That's what you're actually going to go for. And then Withdraw. Okay, there we are.
Do you think those colors are good versus each other?
Yeah, I mean, that should be pretty clear. I don't know if red-green colorblind, if this is red and green enough to cause issues, but outside of that... Let's see. It's a talisman request. Only the first 5 talismans from the campaign are allowed. So you're talking about like in the order in which they become available in the campaign, which admittedly off the top of my head, I remember Tailwind Crest is one of, if not the first, but outside of that, I'm not sure I
don't even
remember.
know what they are.
I think
Tailwind-
it's Tailwind Crest, Curfang, I think, and then it's Ashen Coal, and then there's also Moon Crest, and then I can't remember the other one. I think that's
Okay.
it.
Well, why don't we hop in?
You know, you could just list them, by the way. By the way, you could say only choose from these.
You are gathered at the Isle of Kaelma. Here you shall be tested by your adversary. Let us determine which of you is the superior. The withdrawn stand ready. Accusers
You're saying no, you're not gonna list them?
Well, it sounds like we have maybe 4 out of the
Who shall
5.
conduct this rite?
Yeah, but
Otherwise,
okay.
up to the players here.
Oh, you know what? I remember one of them was Vengeful Vow. That was one of the first ones you get. I'm gonna pick Vengeful Vow.
Demon.
I'm like 99% certain, and no one else can tell me otherwise.
I don't even know that like there are also other talisman you can buy immediately technically.
That's true. I mean, not all of them are available to purchase immediately, but there are a few.
Tizo.
So Tailwind Crest feels like the obvious one, because that I think is definitely number 1.
I remember they force you to buy Mooncrest. I remember Curfang was there too. I forget what the 4th one that I named. Oh, Ashen Coal. I know Ashen Coal's there early.
Edwin.
Um, Ashen Coal, Mooncrest. Sure. Was it Thorn Knot?
I don't know. Or what about the
I have no
Neeland
idea.
Leech? How early does that show up?
I don't think that's early. Oh, isn't it like Fairy Spirit?
It
Doesn't this
might
show up
be.
pretty early?
It might be.
It might be Fairy
I
Spirit.
mean you have it on Spring of Drummer that you have the Fairy Spirit, so I'm not sure if the talisman shows up early.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'm just gonna pick this.
Bertrude.
Okay.
Lilac says, I admit I genuinely don't remember.
Beautiful.
So there may be some room for interpretation here. Perhaps a little bit of flexibility in that case.
Right here. This looks bad. I don't want to do that.
Sir Gilman.
Alright, so here we go with our first match of the day. Iroder and Core getting us started with only selecting talismans out of those that appear in the first 5 instances. And some of those may be from the shop, although Tailwind Crest at least is what? Searching, which actually happens before that first shop, I think.
In goes the orb.
As we see Core throw that one in for 30.
Gotcha.
That throw intercepted. Now I rode her on the attack with Vizpaleth. Vizpaleth down.
Yes.
Or through a portal. Brings him close, but Iroder still able to intercept. Core charging up the throw, able to sneak that one through for 25 damage from his imp.
Neither triumvirate is closer than the other.
That does tie us up at 110 Pyre life apiece at the moment. Meanwhile, Headwind shoulder smashes and Vizpaleth gets banished as she went on the attack. Core, though, once again with a dangerous portal, and that throw looks off the mark, so Iroder able to retrieve. Core through the portal again, and this time it inches even closer to Iroder's Pyre, so Iroder does need to be careful, but he's in possession here. Gets the orb back after temporarily being halted, and does end up plunging here with Vizpaleth for 30 damage, but no prayer beads on Vizpaleth, so she is now gone in this round. Ooh, big cast from Bertrude, and that leaves room here for Gilman to throw.
Sir Gilman's aim was true. The orb.
Tizo trying to sneak through and fakes the throw, only to then sneak past and throw in for 10. Little 360 there from Vizpaleth, but Core was not caught off guard. Double banishment. Although Iroder able to bring back his teammates, courtesy of the Sacred Bond. But his Core in possession, once again the sidestep with the Imp. He has been elusive thus far, and it has been fruitful,
Show of strength from the without.
as that has oftentimes been the key that has led to Core scoring. Core now, this time with Gilman.
Gilman threw it in.
It's a 15 damage throw here. Tizo once more. Ooh, and clever that time. Getting rid of the orb to then banish all of the defenders, then Bertrude moves in as the highest damage character of Core's team. And with that 30 damage score now means any of Core's characters may have enough damage here.
Ah, not restart. GG.
Yeah, GG.
Don't have to wait for us.
Alright.
Are you sure we don't? I feel like if we set a match, it's gonna repeat.
Well, let us know, chat, if there is anything we would like to see for the next one. Oh, I suppose I'll turn off the sermon intro.
Imps in the background.
That's true, we actually do hear them slightly. Might be too quiet to hear that on the stream, though. Okay, let's see. Oh, I don't think we could... Since we have 2 people in right now, I don't think that's a great time for us to do this, because that would functionally require that we kick out Iroder. So out of respect to Iroder, I think we should...
Also, why would you request that? It would be over
Yeah.
in like 20 seconds.
That I wouldn't want
But
to
I
play
play
that.
against over 5 CPUs over in 20 seconds. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What's up? I'm in love with the streamer. Good to see you again. Yeah, let us know if there is anything we'd like to see for the next one. As I said, I did get the team archetypes back up and running, if that is of interest. That is now an option once more. Otherwise, we could always leave it up to the players to go with whatever they'd like. That works too. Lilac recommends we go with the archetypes. Are you guys up for doing a random archetype each?
Ah, sure.
Okay. That worked for you, Core? I forget,
Right,
Core,
I'm-
have you done this before?
Random art. I'm very confused. No.
Okay, let me explain. So basically, a few weeks ago, I came up with a list of team archetypes, basically themes to build your team around. For example, a super straightforward one would be speed / maneuverability. So the idea is whatever archetype we either choose or randomly assign to you, you would build a team that emphasizes that archetype. So it gives you some direction, but at the same time still gives you some creativity and flexibility to approach that in whatever way you think is best. So don't necessarily need to go 100% all in. So, you know, if for example you have something like there is one for stuns / knockback, doesn't necessarily mean you have to have every single character using that, but should at least be an important aspect of your team.
Okay.
So that's the idea. I have 33 of these archetypes, and so typically what we have done is that I've randomly done a random number generator to randomly assign these archetypes to the players, and then I'll DM people what their archetype is, so that way only the player knows what they're running, and you can't, you know, counterpick what your opponent has, basically.
We don't have the same archetype.
Exactly. Well, you might randomly get it, but it's very unlikely.
Okay.
So that's the idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, perfect. So let me get a random number generator up here right now, and I'll just roll iRotor first since he is player 1. Okay, let's see. So this one is iRotors. Okay. iRotor, let me... So, these are supposed to be fairly open-ended. Let me know if you have any clarifying questions, but it is intended that you guys can interpret this as you see fit. Okay, let's see. That means this one is cores. The DMU core. Message. There it is. Okay. Some are more open-ended than others. Some require specific masteries or talismans or setup, whereas others are more focused around your play style. Is there a painfully slow archetype? Nothing listed as painfully slow, but there could be some that you could interpret that way, I suppose. I don't know if there's anything that's all that similar to. I mean, each one should be viable. You know, there should be multiple ways to play, even some of the more narrow ones. So there are, you know, it shouldn't be such that, you know, oh, I rolled the best one, I have an amazing chance to win, and oh, I rolled a terrible one, I have no chance to win. Hopefully I mean, some, of course, may be more viable than others, but depends on the matchup, depends how the players choose to interpret them, and of course it depends on how the players execute. So why don't we jump in? We'll see how the players choose to interpret their archetypes.
The withdrawn shall now
The imps are
face
chanting.
the accused.
Oh, oops.
No, it's like a Pyre reset thing.
I didn't realize it remembered the reset.
Is that access of ours? That's smart.
Withdrawn versus the accusers.
Wait,
Welcome.
did Corget? Hold on a second.
Okay,
Who shall conduct
that's good.
the rites?
Huh?
Okay, let's cast just exit versus smart and come back.
What is happening
Exit
right now?
versus exit versus because it resets it.
What the heck? Also, Eternal Imps. That's true. The imps were still chanting. Strange. All right. Well, third time's the charm. As I said, some of these archetypes may be better in some arenas than others, so we'll see where we end up. At the end of the day, it is the Nest of Trieste.
Welcome. Who shall conduct the rites? Dalbert.
Alright, it is a Prayer Beads Delbert in the first spot for iRotor. What's up, Blood Princess? How's it going? Good to see you. Since this one has been restarted, can we do sermon intro next? Oh! Oh, I didn't even see your sermon intro, Blood Princess. I'm sorry. Remind me for the next one, absolutely.
Headwind.
Okay, power casting Headwind in the second spot. Then for core, he went Bertrude first. Power casting Snadra second.
Sap.
Quick throwing Sap in the last spot for Iroder. And now Web Lanthorn Messenger Imp in the last spot for core. So they both have their randomized archetypes. They are the only, well, I know their archetypes, but the opponents do not, chat does not. So we will see how they manage to execute with the teams they have built here. Dalbert, and now Headwind for Iroder, who gets shoulder smashed. Core through the portal, quick throw here, and that's good for 25. Snadra for core.
Farewell, accuser.
Banishes, but also gets banished in core. Defenseless at the moment. So that means time for Dalbert to plunge in here for 20. Dalbert again, this time blocked. Ooh, and Iroder wins the orb back close to the Pyre, able to plunge in for 20 once again with Dalbert.
The accuser's pyre grows weaker. All
Big
the
banishment there for core, but the numbing gust slowing him down considerably. Dalbert sneaks around and in for 20 damage. Palmas. Implosion takes him out. And Snadra casts away to get rid of Dalbert.
down to the flame. That was
Big power cast from Snadra, but once again, Core finding himself plagued by that numbing gust. Quick throw,
flame is stricken.
good for 30.
The orb.
Dalbert, oh, sneaky throw, makes it through there for 6.
Didn't see it coming.
Snadra, double banishment, but once again, that numbing gust is proving to be a thorn in Core's side here.
Glorious.
Dalbert once more.
Deliverance.
That time a 20 damage plunge, and it drops Core down to 14. That means one score may be all that Iroder needs here. But at the moment, all he has is Palmas. Core in possession with Bertrude, able to throw that one in for 30, and now maybe a one-score game for Core as well. Though Iroder does have a sap, and therefore may very well have some rekindling.
Poor exile.
Same likely cannot be said of Core, as he does not have a sap, and likely doesn't have the right light talisman. Ooh, Dalbert nearly able to sprint through and in for what could have been the winning plunge, but Core does just enough to get that vital stop.
None left unscathed.
When Core with Bertrude, and with no rekindling, means that throw is enough for Core to take the win.
Their adversaries
GG.
came ever so close.
Good game.
Thus end this night's proceedings.
Well played, you two. If you would like to share what your archetypes were, you're welcome to do so.
Until the next right.
What was yours, Iroder?
Mhm.
What was your archetype?
Jack of all trades.
Oh, I see. Mine was cherry picking.
It's a
Which I had
very
to-
vague one.
I had to leave a character close to the opposing pyre, and then like leave it there and then pass to kind of score. I did that I think like twice or something.
Yeah, I think cherry picking is maybe one of the more mechanically sophisticated ones. Well, I don't know. Sophisticated may not quite be the right word, but... And then the jack of all trades, perhaps on the opposite end. I will admit there are some on the list of archetypes that I like more than others. Jack of all trades feels like it's a little bit different from the other types of archetypes. It feels a little too, well, general. So if I do end up coming up with new ones, I may end up scrapping Jack of all trades, and there's one other one that's kind of similar to that. Or I may just end up scrapping it altogether, because we do already have a pretty decent number of archetypes on the list. But for this one, we have Customize Off, and we have that sermon intro from Blood Princess. Okay, so that covers just about everything. So why don't we hop on back in for this one.
Hark, exiles. You are gathered at the fall of Solium. Have you the fortitude required to prevail? Try not to let the pressure get to you. The withdrawn, stand ready. Accusers, stand prepared.
There is no impending civil war, is the answer to that question. But alright, so we have Customize Off here, and it has led to a demon, a savage, and a nomad for Iroder. It is a savage, a harp, and a demon for Core, and here is Core, plunging for 20 with that savage, rather. And no prayer beads on the stowaway, so she is gone in this round. Of course, we do not know exactly what tools the players have at their disposal, although there's a Titan Tooth and also a Harp Salute for Core. So he is definitely pleased to see that, one would imagine.
Now then.
Lendl and Ulmer. Ulmer steps back just far enough not to get staggered, but then Iroder gets stunned by the Titan Tooth. But on the second attempt, Lendl able to make it in here for 20 damage plunge. Some black magic jumps, followed by a cast to banish the last defender. Oh, and that was Luminous Idol on the stowaway, was it not? So that's telling as well. Yeah. More black magic jumps, that time directly leading to the plunge, and that drops Iroder down to 13. Of course, we don't know definitively what the players have here. There is always the chance of a RITE Light Talisman for 20 rekindling. But outside of that would likely mean that Core would only need one more score here to finish the job, and that Titan Tooth, it is very powerful, which Iroder then...
That was the first nonsense.
Yeah,
GG.
yeah, that was.
What was that?
What was that?
Was as though the scribes
sometimes
themselves
Customize Off
stood
just
by
does
their
that.
side.
Well played, you two.
The rite is complete
Alright, well let's head on back.
until the next rite.
And let us know, chat, if there is anything we would like to see for the next one. Otherwise, we'll turn Customize back on and Sermon Intro back off. And if we don't have anything in mind, then of course we can always leave it up to the players to take whatever they'd like. That works. Wait, hold on. What is this? What is this emote? Blood Princess does have an impressive array of emotes. However, I do not always know what they mean. A cat with a heart? Okay. Okay, we have a talisman request. The first exile must have Black Hoof. Black Hoof on the first exile. Okay. Anything else? Or will that be all? Seems like that's it. So let's get started. Oh, okay. We can still fit this one in. At least one tree. As in, one sap
The
minimum.
withdrawn shall take on the accusers. Welcome. Who shall
On a small
conduct
arena
the
such as the
rites?
book, those saps can occupy a lot of space. And it was the Black Hoof in the first spot was the talisman request, so that of course being a cursed talisman, one that makes it so that the players cannot pick up the orb. And since typically the first exile is the one you're using to win that initial orb race, that is a difficult thing to deal with, as you'll likely need to either switch to a different character to pick up that orb, or just accept the fact that your opponent is going to get the orb and use your lead character just for banishment and defensive purposes. Thorned Knot on Tamitha in the second spot for iRotor. Speedy Messenger Imp for core. Remember, one sap minimum apiece.
Well, is it was it per person? Because I'll take a sap.
Wasn't
one tree.
specified. We could just have core
Just
take
keep
a
it.
sap.
Just keep it. I'll take a sap. I'll take a sap. I'll take a sap. And now I can't.
I forgot.
Lovely.
Oh.
Can you pick me Wilfred? Someone.
We want to do this? The controller shuffle? Or uninvite revive. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
No, let me replug and.
Yeah, let's start with that.
Okay.
Now, no worries, Blood Princess. I also forgot to remind them.
Yeah, can you just someone pick for me, because just someone pick for me. Give me Wilfred, nutrition stick, and give me Cheryl left side, full left side.
Oh, sorry.
Volfred. Commence.
Alright, so here is our Black Hoof lead match, which, as I was saying, does make it difficult, at least with that lead matchup. Either you accept that you are just a defender, or you switch to someone else who can pick up the orb. And here is our designated tree, Volfred. But he is felled by the opposing harp. Of course, occasionally we may find ourselves with both players only having their Black Hoof exile remaining, meaning that neither player can pick up the orb. More or less leaving us at a bit of a standstill, but we shall see. Oh dear! The tree is loose! Except it has since been banished, and now iRotor is able to plunge with none other than the Black Hoof exile. It is technically possible to score with them, but it does require quite a bit of setup. Talk about cherry-picking style. In fact, that is a perfect example of it, because the only way you can score with the Black Hoof exile is by leaving them directly on top of the Pyre, and then passing them the orb so that in the briefest of moments before they automatically drop it, they do already count as having plunged. And that might have just been what we saw Core do as well. Was the stowaway his lead? Well, there is the Black Hoof Exile, the only one that Iroder has at the moment, so he has no choice but to wait. Yeah, obviously, Messenger Imp can hold the orb here, so yeah, it must have been Black Hoof on the stowaway for Core, as we see here. That is his lead, so both players have scored with that Black Hoof Exile.
Was but a little splash.
Quick 11 damage throw here for Core. Series of banishments from Messenger Imp. Then avoids getting banished on a couple of occasions. Gets the orb back and plunges in for the win.
The accusers prevail.
GG.
Their fire burns whilst that
So I didn't mean to
of their
stall there. I kind of
adversaries
just wanted
is
to meme,
but
but then I
ash.
realized that
The right is done.
What, when the tree escaped the enclosure?
yeah.
You hear about the animals sometimes breaking out of the zoo, but you don't hear it very often when it comes to the trees.
With the plants.
Is Volfred technically a plant, or is he technically an animal? That is,
He is a plant.
Alright, well,
Sentient.
a sentient plant. I don't know. Perhaps the scholars will debate on that one. But anyways, let us know if we have anything in mind for this next one here. Okay, we will be at the boat. So we have an arena locked in. Anything else? Or will that be all? Oh, I didn't even realize at first that that wasn't Lilac who requested the boat. I kind of just assumed that it was. But that was Blood Princess. Lilac approves. Lilac does also have something to add on to this, though. Okay. Or maybe not. Just kidding. Exile requests on cooldown? Okay, no worries. So in that case, maybe we'll just hop in with the boats.
The withdrawn versus the accusers. Welcome. Who shall conduct the rites?
This will be a quick throwing Vizpaleth in the first spot for Iroder. And this time the team composition's all up to the players. So that was Iroder's choice. Core's is to go with an exploding Gilman.
Exile.
Iroder now with the Web Lanthorn Raji. Core goes quick throwing Manly.
Dalbert.
Dalbert with Prayer Beads in the last spot for Iroder. Then a Leeching, Saluting Bertrude in the last spot for Core. So alright, here we go, on the boat. Teams of the players choosing, and it's Core getting us started with a 14 damage worm throw. Here's Paleth. Down she goes, but Iroder still has it here with the Dalbert. Fakes one way, goes the other. Core still able to get the block, though. Now on the attack with Bertrude. She's banished just before she can do anything with the orb, though. Iroder. Oh! Threw it over to Core, who gleefully plunges in here for 25 with Gilman. Though it does mean he no longer has Gilman in this round. And Core breaks out the Feral Curse, the Crone Salute. Needs to be careful because we do now see Iroder got a defender back, now has all of his characters back. Usually, the benefit of the Feral Curse is that you prevent your opponent from banishing any of your characters or blocking any of your characters because the Howlers cannot do anything defensively, but Iroder able to weather the storm there and fend off from what was one of Core's aces up his sleeve. But does Core have any other tricks? Well, he throws this one in for 22 with his Crone. That Feral Curse, of course, a one-time trick, but Core now following up with a 10 damage throw from his Worm. And collectively, I suppose you could argue those two scores more or less equate to what value he would have gotten from the Feral Curse, so maybe in a way, he's sort of made up for it. As one score potentially all he needs here. With a Seize chance on the Worm, that wasn't quite possible to be enough, but now Iroder down to 11, and any of Core's exiles could do the job now. Here comes Iroder. Has a portal, gets infinite stamina after going through it, but Core ready with the exploding sapling. Iroder. Banished, close to Core's Pyre, does set up a dangerous portal, but now Iroder defenseless. Time for Core to throw it in for the win.
The accusers prevail.
GG.
And what a crushing victory it was.
Well played, you two.
Thus end this night's proceedings.
All right. Well, let's head on back.
Until the stars align.
And let us know, chat, if there is anything we would like to see for the next one. Otherwise, we'll reset to our defaults. Anything we're looking for here, or are we going to leave this one back up to the players to go with whatever they'd like? I know we had at least one request people were considering last time round. But not seeing anything at the moment. Lilac says, torn between two requests. Could always flip a coin, I suppose. If it's truly just a 50-50. Something tells me that is exactly what Lilac is doing right now. But what is the result? Okay, let's see. It's an exiles request. Choose the exiles you find most attractive. I mean, there's one objectively correct choice.
The withdrawn shall now face the accusers. Welcome
Okay, to be honest,
Who shall conduct
don't
the
do these
rites?
requests. Not like this. I think this is a bit too private, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be a little silly about it. I think it's okay to do that. I wouldn't take this too seriously.
Yeah, but like, just feels weird.
Headwind. Sandra.
I mean, I suppose it depends on what overlap you think there is between style and attractiveness. There's a little bit of a blurry line.
Lendl. Headwind. Exile. Lendl.
All right. So here we go.
Begin.
And a lot of nomads. And there's, in fact, entirely nomads on Core's side. 2 nomads and a harp for iRotor. One might expect that to mean a little bit more of a defensive matchup, or at least that tends to be the role that the nomads like to fill. Of course, that is perhaps due in large part to the legendary Goals Bracer Talisman, and only one of those can be used per team at a time. As iRotor gets us started with a 20 damage plunge from Fred / Soxiana.
All banished.
Everyone down on iRotor's side, so time for Core not only to score with 20 on that throw, but also leech back 10 Pyre Life for himself.
Triumvirate is closer than the other.
And the voice doesn't tend to do very well with math when it comes to the whole leech aspect, as he did just say we were tied. That is, however, clearly not the case.
Not much
Core
force of
pushed
will
away a little bit,
behind
had to rush the throw a bit, but still able to get that one off for 10.
Zap.
Core now with Snadra, bring back her friends. And once again, 20 damage, 10 leech. Right, AJ was never so great when it came to the whole addition and subtraction stuff. Just a little bit out of his league.
Glorious.
Big power cast for Snadra. That sets up another 20 damage throw for Core, though it doesn't look like Snadra has the leech. Or it's that Core's back up at full Pyre Life. iRotor now with a quick 8 damage throw from his harp. Lots of big banishments, as we expected there might be, with all these big casting characters.
Nearly ended.
That's a fell swoop on Zoxiana as well, isn't it? So I suppose throw her in that category as well. Headwind. Vanishes. Oh, a couple there. Nearly creating an opening. But now it's back with iRotor. Zoxiana. Headwind. Headwind. Jumps in. 20 damage, and now it's iRotor who's doing the leeching. However, still with the 20 Pyre life, it is possible for Core to finish this one, and with no one back defensively, this could be game. And there it is.
Good game.
The accusers prevail.
GG.
They overwhelmed their adversaries utterly.
Well played, you two.
The ceremony is complete.
Alright. Let's head on back
Until the next rite.
and let us know if there is anything we'd like to see for this next one, or for that matter, if anyone else would like to get in. Want to make sure we give enough time for other people to get in if they're interested. Anything we are looking for setup wise in the next one, or anyone else would like to hop in at some point today? Lilac says would like to get in for like one match, maybe more if the internet gods allow. Okay, alright, well in that case maybe we go for at least one more here between iRotor and Core. So let us know if we have anything in mind for that. And then, Lilac, would you want to try to get in soon, or do you have a preference timing-wise? Messages seem to be taking a long time to send. And maybe that is the internet gods at work. Soon is good. Okay. So in that case, maybe we'll go for one more here between iRotor and Core, and then maybe we'll swap in Lilac after that, and if anyone else would like to get in as well, we could potentially turn that into a double switch. But we have the nest will be the location, and we have customize off as well. Okay, well that covers just about everything. So if you guys are ready, why don't we begin?
The withdrawn versus the...
Okay, so it's a demon. In fact, that might be Orlek, plus 2 crones for iRotor. Yes, that is Orlek and 2 crones. I think this might be mathematically the lowest possible combination of hope you can have on a team for iRotor. That's also Orlek for Core, though. But in his case, it's with double harps. And this time, it is Core who is defenseless. I have a feeling that's going to be a bit of a recurring theme here. Oh, 38 damage for iRotor, so he has extra damage of some variety from his talisman. Might even be at the cost of some hope. Getting
Wait a minute. Did you tell? Wait, of Orlek, I have 38 damage. Oh, like.
Wait, do you have 38 damage?
That was a crone who dealt 38 damage.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, don't worry,
Sorry, we can continue.
iRotor was like, hold on, that math is not mathing.
Oh,
and there's a web Lanthorn for iRotor. That actually could be
what
huge.
the?
Given what we were just saying, with how long it could take these players to get some of their characters back, that could be critically important. Now, Core's harps theoretically have a little more hope than iRotor's crones do, so it's a little less of a pronounced issue for him. but still, anytime you have Orlek, if you don't have some way to automatically respawn your characters, that can make things very tricky. And someone has an exploding talisman. Can't tell exactly who that is, but there is the Wed Lanthorn once again activating. I believe it was what gave Iroder Orlek back, and then Orlek able to get a banishment, and he has Celestial Spike as well. So there's 25 damage on Orlek. That's more what we expect to see from him. But no prayer beads, so he is now gone in this round. Iroder sidestepping with the crones. Eventually, Core able to get rid of them. And time for a 25 damage throw from Orlek. Orlek against Orlek. Core dodges the Celestial Spike and gets rid of the opposing Orlek. And if you go into the lava, it is always a fixed 2-second respawn time, which, in the case of Orlek, is dramatically different from the 30 seconds it would usually take from a more traditional source of banishment. So if you think Orlek is going to go down, it's better if you can somehow find a way to have him land in the lava rather than get hit by a cast. The Core checks for the Harp Salute. Did not have it, though. Everyone down on Iroder's side, and given how long it takes for Iroder to get those exiles back, Core still has time to move Orlek into position and set up that 25 damage throw. Oh, Titan Tooth. Oh, that was for Iroder, wasn't it? I think one of the crones. One of them has the... Oh! One of them has the Titan Tooth.
Crones?
Or for Iroder, did I say for Core?
Doesn't matter.
But there is Core, plunging in for the win. GG. Well played, you two.
Did I have the Titan Tooth or did you, Iroder?
Iroder did, I thought.
You did have the Titan.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that
had it.
was Core?
Yeah, because I wasn't stunned.
Because why I didn't block the harp, because it was
Oh,
pointless.
okay.
Then we would have gotten a throw, and it would have been worse.
I mean, you had 2 crones, but yeah.
I'm not quite sure. I don't do Tide 2 versus Crone very often, so others with Crone versus Tide 2 very often, so I'm not quite sure how the interaction is.
Oh, you can just once you land, you can just pass through it. You're not stunned.
Okay.
Like, you're still stunned on that Crone, but you can pass through it.
Oh.
Because Crones don't need to turn to pass.
All right. Well, we were talking about potentially getting Lilac in here. Lilac, are you still interested and available to give that a shot?
Oh.
Lilac was saying it was taking a minute for some of the messages to come through on Twitch, so might just need a little bit of time to confirm.
But maybe that is our answer more than what she actually says.
Put me in, coach. All right. Well, in that case, Iroder or Core, do either of you mind swapping out so we can get Lilac in?
I don't care, up to you.
All right. Core says he doesn't mind either way, so Core, if you don't mind, then maybe I'll give you the boot. But thanks for stopping by. GG's, Core.
Sure, and I'll be around if like.
Yeah, Lilac said
Lilac
might
said
only
internet.
be around for a game or two, so there's a chance we may be looking for someone to retake Lilac's place in the near future, so stay tuned. We may be looking for other people to hop in soon. But let me see. Lilac, are you even showing up as being online? It says you're away at the moment, which may or may not work with Steam Remote Play. Can give it a shot. Technically means you're online, I suppose, so you should probably still receive this invite. I don't really know what away means on Steam, to be honest with you.
Is
Hello.
this working? Hello.
You're a little bit quiet, but it does seem to be working.
Okay, cool. I'm using my phone because
Oh,
I
okay.
can't seem to get my PC.
Okay, that makes sense then, because you do sound a little bit different. No worries. All right. So I think I just heard you load in. Is that right, Lilac?
Yes, I am. I should be in.
Okay. Which team would you like to be, Lilac?
Dissidents.
Dissidents today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me set you up real quick. There we go. All right. Is there anything we would like to see between these two players, iRotor and Lilac, or do we just want to leave this up to them to take whatever they'd like? Lilac, I know you were saying that you might only be available for 1 or 2 matches. Don't know if that it sounded like that may have been subject to how cooperative the internet is. Oh, actually, before I forget, let's make sure. Okay, you should have controls, and then let's make sure that those controls make sense. It's mouse presets, right?
Correct.
Okay, and that's looks like what we already had, so should be good there. And not seeing any requests right now, I don't think, so may just make this one simple, straightforward, and leave it up to the players to go with whatever they'd like.
For once, I think I would like that.
Okay. Oh, well.
Withdrawn shall confront.
Well, I did notice some sound effects going on in the background.
Who shall conduct the rites?
Yes.
It's just a random vote. But perhaps the game knew this
Maybe
was Lilac's
this is a
favorite.
sign.
We got a...
Maybe this is a sign.
It
that
could be, it could be. It's a quick throwing demon in the first spot for iRotor.
It's a sign.
It's a Mooncrest Oralek in the first spot for Lilac. And iRotor goes Wed Lanthorn Raji in the second spot. Tailwind Crest Rugi for Lilac.
Dalbert.
Prayer Beads Dalbert for iRotor. And a Leeching Bertrude in the last spot for Lilac.
Now begin.
There we go. Okay. Alright, Rotor, able to throw this
Am I
one
moving
in.
at all?
You did a bit, yeah.
Okay, so my controls are working.
Yes. It may or may not look like the, well, I don't know. I can try to guess as to how much lag you're experiencing, but... Of course, that is an assessment you are most able to make yourself.
I can...
My mind,
Wait,
dull
wait.
but still do some work.
Never mind. There are parts where I can count the
withdrawn
pixels
gain
on
of
the
the upper
screen.
hand.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah. Real fun time.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Oh, that's it's an interesting place for the orb to be.
Dissidents.
Oh.
So about that, does anyone happen to have any saluting savages? No? How did it get over there? That's true, we also got the random boat song as well, along with the
GG.
random boat arena. Yeah, we might legitimately need to reset this. Because I
really
don't think we can
funny.
get the orb.
I should have picked a savage. I was thinking maybe I'll pick savage today, and then I was like, nah, I'll shake it up a little bit, and then
This is what happens. All right, why don't we can lock in boat. We can lock in boat song if we'd like. But it does seem as though we may need to reset. I don't think we've seen that one before.
Well,
We've seen people teleport off the edge of the map, but that wasn't
never seen
quite
that
what that
before.
was.
The withdrawn.
it's
That's a
funny
new one.
because
Face
that
dissidents.
actually happened to me just yesterday.
Welcome.
That exact thing that we just saw?
Who shall
That same-
conduct the rites?
Not on the boat, but in the Glade arena.
Glade.
It got like stuck in the vines.
Oh, yeah, an unmodded glade, so it gets those vines as the rite
Yeah.
goes on, and it got stuck in one of those?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It got stuck in one of those, and there was like this sound effect that apparently plays like when the ball is bouncing around, and it was just like dun 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 dun. Like a basketball.
Hey, by the way,
bouncing
the
around.
Game 7 of the NBA Finals are tonight if anyone's interested. It will decide the NBA championship.
They're
Meanwhile,
having a
we're doing some
liberation
fantasy
rite in real
basketball.
life?
Orlek.
Do you think the ball
Exile.
flying over there is perhaps a bad omen of sorts?
Yeah, we've seen the orb get stuck in various places before, but I've never seen it get stuck there. I really didn't see how it happened. Did anyone, by any chance, clip that? That'd be interesting to look back and see exactly how it happened.
My screen was like a slideshow when that happened, honestly.
Oh, Core did.
Wait, there.
Okay, I can track down
Excellent.
the clip
Thank
after
you,
this
Cole.
match in that case. Just remind me, Core. Thank you. So we do have a saluting savage. If we do find ourselves in a similar situation this time round, theoretically, we may have a way to still retrieve the orb. Maybe that is for the best. Not sure we would be able to recreate what happened last time, even if we tried. But
Yeah, annoying Pyre would also get the Savage start.
it very well... Well, maybe you could pass it away. Like, the Savage retrieves the orb and then passes it to a teammate. Maybe? I don't know. Even if the Savage is stuck, then at least someone else can get the orb out of there. And then, by the time someone scores, the round resets, the Savage teleports back. Who knows? Who knows? But anyways, new match. It's Iroder getting us started with a 30 damage throw from his demon. There's the Celestial Spike, banishing 2. And now another demon throw, good for 30.
Shall the withdrawn further press their luck?
Here's Paleth. Again with the throw.
What are you seeing on your side of things, Vids?
A relatively normal match.
Okay.
It does, you know, if I were to read between the lines, it does look a little bit like someone who is experiencing significant lag.
More than a lick of flame remains.
What's up, Macaws? How's it going? Hello, gamers. Macaws, we just had the orb get stuck in a way that we have not really seen ever before, so we had to reset the match. We didn't have any way to fix it.
Burning hot.
Yeah, unfortunately, Nightbot isn't supposed to get mad at people for posting clips, and yet for some reason it does. But I can track it down after this match.
And it is done.
All right, well,
Did it?
GG.
The withdrawn
I don't think it would be
Their
feasible
adversaries
for
must
me
be
to
crying
play
tears
another
of
match, at
shame.
least not enjoyably so.
Okay, well, no worries. Thank you for giving it a shot, and I'm glad we at least got to
Sure
experience something a little silly.
Until the next.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe in that case we
Now-
are
now
looking
I'll
for
just go
someone to
back
take
to
Lilac's
making-
place, but GG.
Now I will go back to making extremely chaotic requests.
Okay. And
Farewell.
let me track down Macaws. You are just in time. Let me get you in, and while you are loading in, I will track down that clip. That
Also, please
Or-
send it in. Are you going to like send it in the chat so we all can see?
yeah, I can do that. Let's see.
All right,
Is it-
and hello,
where is it?
Macaws.
Oh,
I
wait,
now
that's the wrong
will
button.
depart.
Hello, hello.
Farewell.
Hello, Macaws.
Hello,
How's it
and
going?
goodbye.
It's going well. Steam is doing this lovely thing again where I can see you sent me the request, but I can't unminimize it.
Ah,
So
fantastic.
I am restarting now because this worked last time. I don't know what, I think it's specifically my Steam that has this brand of chicanery associated with it.
Okay. Well, let me know if you need me to. I can resend an invite if that's helpful.
You shouldn't need to, but let's...
Okay.
I'll-
While you're figuring that out, I will show you guys the clip that Core made of that silly circumstance we found ourselves in last time round. It would help if it would open. There we are. 1 second. No. Hold on. 1 second. Full screen. Give us audio. Give us maximum quality. Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so what? It was Orlek getting banished over here with the orb, and then it sent the orb flying in that direction, and then it got stuck in this corner.
Oh, that's it's an interesting place for the orb to be.
Hold on. Let's go back to the actual cause. So watch Orlek. Gets in this corner, lands, gets banished, orb flies over here, and that's how it gets stuck. And then we can't get it.
Oh, that's it's an interesting place. for
Very
the orb.
interesting indeed. All right. Well, thank you, Core, for capturing that moment. Okay. And now, any luck, Makos?
We are in.
We're in. Perfect. Instant replay, indeed. All right. Nightwings, true Nightwings, true Nightwings. Is that right, Makos?
Yes, sir.
All right. Perfect. And let us know if there is anything we are looking for between these two. Or if we want to keep it simple, just leave it up to the players to take whatever they'd like in this match. This will, of course, be our first matchup between iRotor and Makos of the day. Not seeing anything immediately, though, so maybe we just hop in. At least give Makos a warm-up of sorts.
The withdrawn shall take on the true Nightwings. Welcome.
All right.
Who shall conduct the rites?
So no requests from chat for this one. All up to the players. iRotor goes speed throwing Vids. Makos goes speed movement, messenger imp.
Exile.
Web Lanthorn Raji for iRotor. I saw Makos take the imp in the first place, and I wondered, maybe it meant Makos was going to submit to the triple imp on the Isle of Kalimur strat, but alas. Instead, went the sap route. Now it's Delbert with prayer beads in the last spot for iRotor.
That would have been really funny if I had done that, wouldn't it? I threw. I should have taken it for content.
Now it is prayer beads on Pamitha in the last spot for Makos. And here we go with our first match between iRotor and Makos. As we were saying, this one all up to the players to take whatever they'd like, and that is an offensive imp, plunging for 25 for Makos, courtesy of the bonus damage mastery. That was a very speedy maneuver from Vids there. However, now, courtesy of the Numbing Gust, it is certainly not speedy anymore. Ooh, and that throw was slightly short. And with Numbing Gust active once again, iRotor cannot throw, at least not until Makos gets anyone back. Oh, and so he goes with Dalbert because he has the prayer beads. Okay. A little bit less damage than he would have gotten, of course, on a 30 damage Vids plunge, but decided would rather have all of his characters still available in this round and had the time to ponder that choice. As once again, it is Dalbert here. So I suppose it did, in a way, pay off. But now Makos trying to set up the sap, but down goes Manly. Dalbert again. He's banished. Celestial Spike comes up empty. Makos now with the orb. Moving in with the imp. And remember, Makos is looking to score with that imp. Oftentimes we get used to seeing defensive imps, but don't let that catch you off guard. Now, opportunity perhaps for Vids, but once again, iRotor finds himself in this situation where he cannot throw, at least not until Makos gets someone back, and so he started to switch things over to Dalbert as he did before, but on that occasion was not close enough to the Pyre to still score. iRotor using the portal to get the infinite stamina, and that makes Vids faster, although actually cut the throw slightly short there. Only 27 instead of the full 30 damage, and that could be significant, because it now means this is out of range for iRotor. Cannot finish it with one score. Now, of course, we do have Makos with a sap and may have Rekindling. We see the Numbing Gust, so presumably It's all the way down on the left side, and therefore at most would have 10, but it is still possible. We may see some rekindling there. And now I wrote her down to 28, and that means similar story on that front. It is basically just over a one-score game for either player. More or less tied in that regard. Oh, I wrote her faked as if he was going to go through the portal, then went the direct route, but Macaws able to adapt quickly enough to still get the stop. And then with the harp, plunges for 20 here, and as we were saying, that wasn't going to be enough, but now on this round, it could be possible for Macaws to finish it. Whereas Iroder would still need 2 scores. Macaws has the luxury of flexibility. Doesn't matter who it is, should have enough damage with anyone. Could it be Manly? Yes, it is. GG?
GG.
All right. Well, let us know, chat, if there is anything else you'd like us to do for the next one. What's up, Itachi? Yes, Mass Effect 3. I did not break. I know I was experimenting with some mods yesterday. I did not break Mass Effect 3. Don't worry. All right. We have Iroder came in with the no request just before Lilac came in with a different request. So for this one at least, we'll have another no request, and then we can take a look at what Lilac has in mind. The next one. Okay, so let's hop back on in.
The withdrawn shall confront the true Nightwings. Welcome. Who shall conduct the rites?
Yeah, might need some clarification on that one, Lilac. Do you basically mean characters who wouldn't get along together well? As we have Demon first for Iroder, and then Bertrude the Crone for Macaws.
Exile.
We have Lanthorn Raji in the second spot for Iroder. Yes, characters who wouldn't get along together well. Okay, gotcha. So that'll be the next one.
It's a deluge.
Yeah, I think that is an inherently subjective question. Alright, but here we go for this match. This one was all up to the players. Getting a little ahead of ourselves, no worries. We can focus on that stuff for the next match. As for right now, though, it's Macaws with Bertrude, who is banished. Now, Vizpaleth, with the banishing throws, does have a victim or two, but Macaws quickly recovers, courtesy of Sacred Bond. Now it's Iroder once more, has a portal, has the infinite stamina, and just barely able to sneak in between those defenders, sending up that 30 damage demon throw. Now Macaws looking to answer, and does, with a 30 damage Crone Plunge. But no prayer beats, so Bertrude is out in this round. Iroder back with Vizpaleth, but Vizpaleth goes down. Snadra, and now Deluge. Deluge explodes. Vizpaleth. Snadra takes a hit for the team, and does just enough to save Macaws from taking a 30 damage throw. Now a very dangerous portal for Iroder. Not quite an automatic score territory, but close to it. Oh, and Iroder fakes as if he wasn't going to use the portal, then pretended as though he did want to use it, and then switched back and didn't end up using it. So reverse psychology into some more reverse psychology for Iroder.
Swift recovery.
But now it's a straightforward plunge from Dalbert. Peleth again. Snadra, able to sweep things up.
How fortuitous.
Deluge. Now Bertrude. Bertrude brings back Deluge. High Rotor does have a portal, but Macaws is conscious of that. Rotor inching closer. But Macaws gets it back, albeit only momentarily. Oh, and High Rotor nearly used that infinite stamina with his demon after going through the portal to speed through to Macaws' Pyre, but Macaws just quick enough to cut off Vids Peleth. Perhaps an opening here for Snadra. As Macaws hops around, goes the throwing route, but that's intercepted. Orb inadvertently hits Irotor's Pyre, bounces back out. That might have been just enough to buy Irotor time to recover defensively. And Dalbert, oh, ever so close. But Macaws does get the stop. Macaws with a lot of these last second saves, or at least cuts off people who look like they're about to be clean through. But Macaws is able to get a quick 18 damage out of that crone throw. Cuts it a little bit short, but does still have his crone, so that this time he can plunge. That's good for 30. And Macaws would have enough damage to finish this with one score if he still had his crone, but Bertrude is unavailable in this round. Irotor does have enough damage with his demon, though, and there it is. GG.
Perhaps a stroke of fortune ought to be thanked.
Well played, you two.
The ceremony is complete.
All right. Let's head on back.
Until the next rite.
And for this next one, we have an Exile's request for the characters that you think would get along together the worst. They would not work together well. Some debate in chat as to who those characters might be, but I think that is the underlying idea. Characters who would make for bad teammates, lore-wise, at least.
The withdrawn.
And we will be back on the boat for that match.
Welcome. Who shall conduct the rites?
So the characters you think would get along together the worst. Oh, we do have... Okay, we'll save that one for the next one. Gotcha. Just remind me. So Tamitha is the first choice for Irotor. I imagine the key here is going to be the players are going to select characters that have very strong personalities. Ones that may clash, as we see Manly for Macaws. As for which personalities clash the most, Tamitha plus Jody on Irotor's side. That certainly makes sense. Manly plus Ulmer for Macaws. And Irotor goes Snadra in the last spot. Cost goes with Barker. So teams that would not work together well, at least based on their personalities in the campaign. Some differing opinions. Do we have any overlap at all? I'm not sure that we do, in fact. So as we were saying, there's certainly some room for interpretation there. Erie's Macaws with Ulmer, and some interesting maneuvers there. Hard to make much sense out of it. Here is iRotor now, though, switching in to Snadra, who hops in for 20. She is now gone in this round, though. Here is Macaws, setting up a 16 damage throw with his Savage. And the Titan Tooth, stunning iRotor, giving time for Macaws to plunge in here for 20 with Barker. Ulmer teleports to the orb, throws that one in. This time it's the full 20. iRotor first to the orb, first to go down. This time, though, with Tamitha, she's stunned with Titan Tooth. But here comes Snadra. She's stunned as well. Ulmer has the banishing throws. Though he's thrown it in on a few occasions, hasn't really had much opportunity to take advantage of getting rid of defenders with those banishing throws. And once again, it is throwing to score here, which of course Macaws will still take, as that has been the primary way that Macaws has been scoring here, as once again, it is Ulmer, that time for 19. Back and forth, near Macaws' Pyre, but Macaws has it back now with Barker. His throw, though, intercepted, and quick counterattack from iRotor leads to a 30 damage Demon Plunge. One more of those could be all that iRotor needs, although Macaws does have a sap, may have some rekindling with that sap, and instead, it is Macaws throwing it in for 20 once again with his Savage. And that means Macaws may only need one more score. Here's Jody. For iRotor, she is banished. Macaws now making advances with Manly. Barker down, but Manly hanging out next to iRotor's Pyre, but it's iRotor in possession, moving in with Jody. Knocking back a defender, setting up this plunge, but there is rekindling. In fact, it's 50 for Macaws. There is Macaws looking for the banishing throw, but ultimately doesn't need it, as it is the throw to score once again that seals the deal.
Their adversaries confidently thwarted.
GG.
The rite is done.
Well played, you two. Alright, let's head on back.
Until the stars align.
And now we do have a Masteries request and an Arena request for this one. The Arena is the book, and the Masteries request is that you can't take any Masteries that you would usually use. And technically that's a little bit tricky when it comes to some of the initial Masteries. Like, it's hard to avoid all of the first Masteries, if you get what I'm saying. Forbidden Knowledge as well. Like, you might need to take the first mastery on some sides in order to reach the ones that you usually wouldn't take, so maybe we can make some exceptions there. Okay, and Phaler is interested in getting in soon as well. So, iRotor, how does it sound for you if we make this the last one between you and Macaws, and then we might swap in Phaler after that? That works? Why don't we get this one started then? Aside from the first mastery. Okay, fair enough. So yeah. Focus on masteries that you don't usually take. If you have to take a first mastery on one of the sides in order to get to those, then that's understandable. So we do see a whole lot of left-sided harps nowadays. There was a point in time when right-sided harp, at least halfway down the right side, was more popular, but it's pretty rare nowadays, so that is what iRotor goes with. Any webbed feet enjoyers, asks Core.
Oh man, that's exactly what I was gonna run on my first slot. Just full right harp.
I mean, it's okay to repeat if you guys have similar ideas here.
I never go full left nomad. What is full left nomad like? I think she likes this.
Yeah, this is still fairly common, I feel. Those power casting nomad builds. And, you know, that's an interesting point. You know, just because something might be popular in general doesn't necessarily mean that that's something that a specific player tends to take. As Iroder goes all left side on the crone tree. Right-sided Cur is definitely one of the more rare setups.
Yeah, this is the way.
Macass is embracing it. Every once in a while, you see people take that setup specifically for this reason, just for the sake of taking something that people don't usually take. It's all left side worm in the last spot for Iroder.
Just gonna press the B button this right.
Alright. Well, it's all left side crone in the last spot for Macass, and here we go for what we expect to be our last matchup between these two. We got a big banishment for Iroder, setting up this uncontested 25 damage crone throw. Whoa, Core, strong words. Don't let Chewing Dragon hear you say that. As with the Stubborn Flame, it means when Iroder is in the lead, he is dealing 10 less damage. That was only 10 overall from the Harp Plunge, but once again, everyone down on Macass's side means time for an uncontested crone throw for 25. Of course, one would imagine these are not setups that the players are used to using, so this may be unfamiliar territory. The Stubborn Flame is certainly adding up here.
This comp sucks.
there may be a good reason why people tend not to take some of these setups.
Oh my
in addition to the unfamiliarity.
Alright, just press B.
No.
Big power casts from Snadra. A little bit of room for Snadra, though Iroder does just enough to cut her off. Iroder explodes, but loses his last character in the process. Snadra, now to Barker. That means time for Snadra to plunge here for 20 and also leech 10 Pyre Life back for Macass. It does mean no Snadra now in this round as Macass gets the block. But Iroder gets the banishments and gets the orb. And gets the throw. Good for 15. Well, there's the fell swoop for you. And as I was saying, that was one of the key things that people did go to the right side of the harp tree to get. That is an extremely good mastery. One of the best in the game, I think, by many accounts. Just for whatever reason, people have not been using it very much as of late, as now Macass throws that one in for 14 with his crone. Crone moving back in on one side, Snadra the other.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Oh, but Macass just barely misses the throw there. Iroder now moving in, two-pronged attack. 15 damage there, and that means Macass holding on with 5, so one score likely all Iroder needs here, unless Macass can get some leech, which he does have with Snadra. Does he try to force the issue there and become predictable in the process? Oh, everyone down on Macass's side. Opportunity here for Iroder, which he takes to take the win.
GG.
Thanks for the game.
GG. Thanks for stopping by, Iroder.
Thus end this night's proceedings.
All right. Let's head on back, and Phaler, if you are still good to go, we can look to get you in here against Macass. I know you said you needed a few minutes ago, hopefully. The timing is just right. If not, in the meantime, I suppose we could start setting up any requests if there is anything we would like to see between Macaws and Phaler, since we have a pretty good sense. Those are the two players that we will see here. Does one proactively? So, I mean, I suppose technically I don't know definitively that Phaler's going to come in as player 1 here. But I can make that assumption. Alrighty, lads. Good to go, Phaler? We do quite literally have a spot with your name on it. Let's do it. Invite should be on its way. Now watch Phaler be player 2 and Macaw switches to player 1.
I'm sure it will happen.
That's Steam Remote Play for you. Alright, looks like we got Phaler in there.
Alrighty, we're in business.
Perfect. Alright. Not seeing... Let me just double check if we have anything in the queue, but I didn't think we did. So at the moment, this one looks like just a straightforward match in which you guys take whatever you would like. Not seeing any last minute requests either, so why don't we hop in? We'll give Phaler a bit of a warm up here.
The Fate versus the true Night
We end up
Wings.
at the pit.
Welcome. Who shall conduct the rites?
So all up to the players to take whatever they'd like. Our first matchup of the day between Phaler and Macaw.
It's a deluge.
Phaler goes Exploding Deluge as the lead. Whereas Macaw goes Speedy Messenger Imp.
Exile.
Phaler now with a Web Lanthorn Raji. While Macaw goes Speed Throwing Manly. Speed Throwing Iggy for Phaler. And Macaw rounds out the team with a Leeching Bertram. So here we go. The first match between Phaler and Macaw, both players taking their preferred teams here. Let us see how they fare. Both players tentative to pick up the orb.
My.
Everyone down on Macaw's side, but the stubborn, or rather the Numbing Gust, slowing Phaler down there. Technically, the Worms are the fastest characters with Numbing Gust active. So if there is such a thing as a Numbing Gust counter, one could argue it is the Worms. There's the quick throw from Macaw, and it is very quick indeed for 25 damage.
The orb is taken.
Macaw now moving in with the Imp, but that Imp gets banished. Phaler's quick counterattack with the Worm is thwarted. Now Macaw back with Messenger Imp and has a fairly dangerous portal there. And that sets up this 25 damage plunge, as he did take the extra damage from the Imp
The
Mastery.
true Nightwing seem to want their
So that is
freedom
part of the plan.
more.
For that Imp to be an offensive threat, and
They threw it in.
similar story with the sap, though in that case it's coming from the throws, as we saw previously. The first one was the full 25, that one a little bit abridged. Just 20, or rather, just 17 damage there. Manly. Over to Bertrude. Bertrude plunges. This time for 30, and I believe she had Leech on the Talisman, did she not? Well, Macaws is back up to 100 Pyre life. So he may just not have needed it. Macaws defenseless, at least until Messenger Imp makes his return. Here he is. Blocks. And now banished, although does create a relatively dangerous portal there. Phaler's throw with the worm lands here for 8. Now here's Iggy. Avoids the exploding sapling. Goes down to the sap. And then Phaler with a quick stop there, just as Macaws was about to make it in with Bertrude.
Such chaos.
Now Messenger Imp for Macaws. Fakes one way, goes the other, then fakes the other way again. Series of banishments. But it's Phaler's Orb with Iggy. And the infinite stamina, though that wasn't enough to make it past the wall of defenders. And Macaws, whether that was intended or not, went off the wall a little bit, but then throws it in for partial damage and gets a little bit of leech in the process. I think that was, what, is it 14 damage and 7 leech?
Now, Bertie. Punishment for all.
Everyone down on Macaws' side, though Phaler's found himself in this situation before, and that Numbing Gust proven to be a bit of an issue. Big banishment there from Phaler. This is the problem. Phaler's been getting lots of banishments, but it's then hard to capitalize on those opportunities after getting the banishments because of that Numbing Gust. Manly. Moving in, but a little bit out of range, at least initially, for Macaws.
Why, that was all of them.
History repeats itself for Phaler. Waits for the defenders to come back.
Diddly brutish.
At that point, Macaws able to make the stop. Macaws now with Bertrude.
Burn for the true
Phaler gets the stop. Iggy, close, but not close enough. Macaws banishes one defender, then gets banished himself. Phaler, ooh, down to a big exploding sapling.
oath within the order.
Fairly defensive from both players at the moment here.
A deathly
Dangerous portal for Macaws. But it's Phaler in possession, and it is Phaler with this unblockable worm throw. This time for the full 15. Iggy and Messenger Imp. Bit of a standoff between the two of them. Iggy eventually wins out. But then Bertrude comes in and takes out Iggy. Messenger Imp for Macaws. Back to Bertrude. She's blocked. Gets the orb back, though. And plunges in for the win.
The true Nightwings prevail.
GG.
Most
GG.
excellently done this time,
GG.
I must admit.
Well played, you two.
The rite is ended.
All right. Let's head on back. Let us know, chat, if there's anything we would like to see
Until
for the next one.
stars align.
Otherwise, as always, we could just leave it up to the players to go with whatever they'd like. That works too. But seeing nothing at the moment may mean that we'll go back to leaving this one up to the players.
fate shall take on the true Nightwings.
So we find ourselves at the nest of Trieste.
Who shall conduct the rites?
Alright, a little late on this one, Lilac, but we can do it for the next one, no worries. This one, there are no requests. So, team compositions, all up to the players. As Phaler goes quick throwing Ulmer in the lead.
Bertrude.
And quick moving Bertrude for Macaws. Lanthorn Raji in the second spot for Phaler. Prayer Beads Tamitha for Macaws. Okay, there goes Prayer Beads Pamitha. Macaws goes Nutrition Stick on Manly. Phaler, first the orb, or actually didn't get the orb there, interestingly, despite seemingly arriving there first, and it's Macaws who did end up with it and ended up plunging in the process. That was with Bertrude, who is now gone in this round. That means a little bit more room for Phaler to maneuver. Perhaps helping him get in there with Tamitha. She did have Prayer Beads, so she was back. Not that Phaler needed her there, as that was an Ulmer throw for 20 damage. Ulmer banishes everyone. And also gets the throw. Ulmer and Bertrude taking each other out that time. Tamitha for Phaler, blocked. But gets everyone banished and then switches in. Once again, it's Ulmer putting in the finishing touches. And one more of those would be enough, at least to remove all of Macaws' starting Pyre life. But as we see there, Macaws with 50 rekindling. But it's back with more Ulmer for Phaler. This time, though, Ulmer stopped. Macaws' answer comes from Bertrude. That's a 15 damage throw. Oh, and Macaws had the Crone Salute in the waiting. So Phaler defenseless here. And that throw, good for 30, dropping Phaler down to 30. That means this is a one-score match for either player. Actually, no. It is for Macaws. Phaler would need at least 2. Here is Macaws. Now, that being said, for Macaws, it would need to be with his Crone, which actually doesn't have 30 damage when the two teams are tied. So now it is a one-score game for either player. For Macaws, it needs to be Bertrude. For Phaler, it could be anyone. Here is Bertrude. Oh, but she's stopped. Phaler now with Raji and Ulmer. Ninja strats from Ulmer. And with that throw, it is Phaler
GG's.
who takes the win. GG.
The scribes themselves surely have taken note.
Well played, you two.
Thus end this night's proceedings.
All right. Let's head on back.
Until the stars align.
And we have an arena request already for this one, but let us know if there's anything else we have in mind. We have had a few of those today, right? Where we get a random arena and random song that happen to match up. What's up, Murph? How's it going? Murph says, I'm at a wedding, so pick the rings for the talismans. Fitting, Murph. Just hopefully you're still doing whatever you need to do at the wedding. Hopefully we're not distracting you too much.
Coming into RITE Night on a wedding.
I know.
What
I
a
mean, I hope it's not your own wedding, but
What
I
a
mean,
true-
as much as I'm pleased that you're here, at the same time, that wedding may be more important than what we're doing now.
More important than freedom? Nothing's more important than freedom, man.
Well, you may have a point. All right.
What a practitioner.
There's always time for Pyre. All right, well, let's jump back in then. So we're on the boat, and both players must take the rings.
The fate shall confront the true Nightwings. Welcome. Who shall conduct the rites?
It feels like it's fairly unusual nowadays to see people take the rings.
Ignatius.
Not that they were ever anyone's top choice, but it feels like there were times when it wasn't out of the question to see people go that way.
Demon on boat. I'm disappointed in you, Phaler. I would never stoop to such levels.
He says as he locks in exactly the same thing. Well, infinite stamina demons with slightly more quickness on the boat may be a sight to behold. Only time will tell. Of course, with the double rings, it means there's one character that the players can choose to have any talisman they'd like, and for Phaler, he puts this speedy Tailwind crest on an imp. Cost goes banishing throws on the stowaway, so that means both players now must take the second ring on their last character. That'll be Gareth for Phaler. I like how Gareth is doing his best Almer impression, and the stowaway is doing her best Gareth impression.
I hate it all. I hate every option that's available to me.
Well, it will have to be a character who takes that second ring. Makos eventually settles on Snadra to be the ring bearer. It is a great responsibility, of course, to take the ring to Mordor. And it is Iggy getting us started with a 17 damage throw. An interesting way in which he went about doing it, I suppose, as he almost moonwalked his way in. There is a throw from Makos for 16. Both players, of course, starting with infinite stamina at the start of the round with their demons. But eventually that infinite stamina wears off, and at that point the rings are only providing a modest boost to every stat except for glory. Just a little +2. Here is Iggy for Phaler. Closes in, hops away, gets blocked. Now the stowaway for Makos. But down she goes. Gareth for Phaler. He's banished. Iggy lines up the puddles and nearly rides the boat magic into the pyre, but Phaler was ready for it. This time it's the stowaway for Macaws, thrown in for 17. There's some airtime for Macaws' Macaws' Iggy. He did go down in the process, but that's secondary. Iggy now for Phaler gets shoulder smashed. Stowaway has those banishing throws, but it wasn't quite close enough to banish, though not that Macaws needed it on that occasion. Still enough time and space to jump in there for 20 with that stowaway. There is the infinite stamina. Iggy causing some trouble. And setting up that 30 damage throw for Phaler. Iggy taking out the opposing Iggy. And it's Macaws who, or maybe the speed was a little too much to handle there, as those demons, they are remarkably quick with that infinite stamina, and you hop over one of those puddles unintentionally, and you might go flying a little further than you had planned. But can you control the chaos? That is the key, and that is what Macaws did here, setting up that 30 damage demon plunge with Iggy. And now perhaps Phaler's turn, but no, Iggy goes down. Phaler's throw intercepted. Stowaway and Raji take each other out, but then Iggy banishes the last defender, which leaves time for him to charge up a full damage throw. That makes this once again a close game, but Phaler scoring again here, this time for 20 damage with Gareth. Macaws takes one way, goes the other, but gets cornered. Iggy for Phaler. Snadra, quick enough to stop him. Now the stowaway. She'll throw it in for 20. That means this is roughly a 2-score game for either player. Phaler nearly turning that into a 1-score game, but Macaws able to stop that throw before Phaler was able to finish it. Phaler instead goes the imp route here, and that's extra damage on that imp. It's 25, which means at this point, just about anything could do for Phaler. Here's Macaws with a 20 damage throw to answer, and it's suddenly a sudden death match. Just about tied. 1 score for either player with any character would likely do it. For Macaws, it is only Snadra back defensively, but here come the reinforcements as Gareth moves in. He goes down. Time now for Macaws to consider an attack. Stowaway banishes one and follows in for the winning plunge. GG.
GG.
So narrowly achieved, and thus more glorious.
GG.
Well played, you two.
The ceremony is complete.
All right. Let's head on back.
Until the next rite.
And let us know, chat, if there's anything we would like for the next one. Otherwise, we'll set ourselves back to our defaults. I think it was just the arena there and the ring request that we saw, of course. Anything we're looking for here, or shall we leave this one back up to the players? Not seeing anything at the moment, so I suppose this one will be all up to the players then.
The fate shall now face the true Night Wings. Welcome.
All right. So no requests on this one.
Who shall conduct the rites?
Team composition all up to Phaler and Macaws. Lilac says gone. Okay, we can do it for the next one. No worries, Lilac.
Sir Gilman.
Gilman with the extra jumping distance for Phaler, courtesy of the legendary talisman.
Chat, he's thrown the gauntlet. He wants to have a sword worm fight.
Oh, is this so?
I shall oblige.
Sir Deluge.
So it's Gilman against Deluge. Quite the duel.
Hangover.
Oh, yeah, careful.
Tizo.
Alright, so it is Tizo in that case, with the Web Lanthorn for Phaler. Oh, also Hangover.
That's a shame.
Just partied too hard at the wedding. Just partied a little too hard. Quick throwing Jody. Now a saluting Vorfrit in the last spot for Phaler. McCall's goes with Web Lanthorn on Messengering.
Commence.
Phaler with Gilman.
The true Nightwing's Pyre
Throws
is
for
the
14.
first to falter.
There is the worm duel that we were expecting.
Poor little bug-eyed worm. Oh,
Excuse me, Brighton.
unfortunate for the true
Everyone
Nightwings.
down on McCoss's side, so time now for Phaler to set up this prone throw, which lands for 30. Gilman, this time blocked, banished. Toss's turn with Jody, banishes one with the Celestial Spike, banishes a second, banishes a third, and now sets up a 30 damage throw of his own. Again, it's worm versus worm.
Well, now that was exciting.
'Twas exciting indeed. Forfeit for Phaler. Cut off there. There's the infinite stamina Jody, which was somewhat terrifying. See her zooming around like that. Koss thought about throwing the orb at his own pyre to have it bounce back out, but instead opts to go through the portal, which is right in the middle of the arena, as is Phaler's. Phaler's throw slightly off the mark there. Koss now goes through the portal, gets the stamina boost, but Phaler has it back. Worm throw is unblockable, and it lands for 15. Jody, for Koss, narrowly avoids that worm cast. Second time round does go down to it. And that sets up Phaler for a 9 damage worm throw. Phaler back with Gilman. This throw, good for 7. That means it is possible now for Phalar to finish this with 1 score, and with his Crone Salute, can do just that.
GG.
He's
GG.
an honorable duel.
Indeed. Well played, you two.
The rite is complete.
Alright, we do actually have a request already for this one. It is for each of you to give an obscure trivia fact about each character that you pick. Something beyond just basic surface level knowledge. So give you a minute to think about your trivia facts of your character. It might restrict which characters you can pick. There may be some that you can't think of any trivia facts for. I suppose let us know if there's anything else we'd like to add on top of that for this match. But otherwise, we'll hop on in.
The Fate versus the True Nightwings. Welcome. Who shall conduct the rites?
Okay. It's a bit of a test. The player's knowledge of these characters, I suppose.
Alright, my trivia fact for her is that she is 3 years younger than the Black Wagon itself.
Oh, okay.
3 weeks, sorry. 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
younger.
Okay. Good trivia. Good trivia fact.
Tamitha's hat is purple because it's the color of royalty, because her favorite band is Queen.
Ooh, very interesting
Yeah, it makes a
trivia
ton of
fact.
sense. I believe it.
Do you know what her go-to song is?
I do not. Would you care to let the chat know?
I don't know. Is she a Bohemian Rhapsody kind of harp? I'm not sure. I feel like maybe more of a Killer Queen.
She do be a killer queen. You know what I'm saying?
Alright, so the messenger imp personally knows Volfred. And there also is more than one of him. They have...
Wait, what?
Volfred mentions multiple agents. So this messenger imp, there could be... We don't know how many messenger imps there actually are. This is one. We don't know how many more there are.
I did not realize that.
Messenger Imp.
Volfred Sandalwood. His last name is Sandalwood, but his sandals are not actually made of wood.
Wait, does he have... Have we established whether saps have feet or not? Like, does he even have sandals at all?
He's a fraud.
I think he might be. I think you're onto something. His lower legs are underground. So I don't think he has any sandals at all.
Okay, it doesn't actually say this here in the description, but Ulmer is younger than Dalbert.
Ulmer is younger than Dalbert. I feel like that's to be expected.
I don't know. That's huge if true.
Dalbert is super old, man. Like, Ulmer is, like, in his, like, late teens. And that's, like, super old for a dog.
But to say, yeah, if Dalbert's
Oh,
like
you mean
14,
wait? Dalbert, you're saying is younger than Ulmer?
No, Dalbert's older.
Wait, Dalbert. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's surprising because he's kind of, sort of a dog, to the extent that curs and dogs are the same thing. Although that's a little unclear where exactly they land.
Yep.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I was like, he's his father. Of course he's older. But no, you have a point. Or he's his, pseudo-father.
This is the other messenger imp.
Oh!
There he is.
There is the stowaway getting us started with a 20 damage plunge. And now a 19 damage sap throw. Cost, what is Volfred's first name? Tell me. Lilac is wondering.
It's a great question. I'll tell you when you're older. Oh no, if I had gotten that in?
Does set up a dangerous portal for Makas, but well, now he is back in possession. There is a sap throw. Good for 25. Who from? Well, I don't know. What's his first name? This time it's the stowaway, jumping in for 20 for Phaler. Ulmer's throw lands there for 18. Stowaway leaps in for 20 damage. That drops Makas down to 3. Now, Makas does have a sap. Don't recall as to how much, if any, rekindling he has in the past. Well, we saw him take 50 on one occasion. But on other occasions, I feel like we certainly saw him take Numbing Gust. Taylor with Ulmer. Down he goes. Tamitha. Wow. Swamped into Volfred, but sacrificed him right in front of the Pyre. Blood for the Blood Gods. Oh, and Makas pushes Phaler out of range of that throw. Otherwise, probably would have scored. Here is the Numbing Gust, and here is Phaler, unable to throw. At least until Makas gets someone back, and with that throw, Phaler takes the win.
GG's.
GG.
They brushed aside their adversaries without too much trouble. The rite is done.
Wilbert's first name is C.
C, as in the letter, / the body of water?
His first initial is C.
Okay.
Volfred's his middle name. He is actually C. Volfred Sandalwood. It's like his signature.
Interesting.
What if the C stands for Volfred?
I'd buy it.
That's
if
exactly
true.
what Lilac is wondering. What does the C stand for?
No, it's an initial. I don't know what it stands for. Could be anything. Could even be a boat.
Ari says, oh, I know what it stands for.
It stands for cool.
Hey. Well, it is starting to get a little bit late, so I'm thinking it may make sense for us to make this be our penultimate rite here, the last one in which we take any requests before we go into our liberation rite. Could stand for Cypress. You can find it in the game code.
Yep. But that's the wrong spelling. That's the country. Cypress is the tree.
Ah, yes. Gotcha.
So he's got actually 2 tree names in his name.
And sandalwood is actually the name of a type of tree, I believe.
It is, yes.
So he technically has 3 tree names in his name.
Well, I mean, is it really spelled cypress in the code?
Oh, I guess 2. Yeah, because Volfred isn't that.
That's
yeah.
funny. I guess Greg messed up.
Oh, did they misspell? Interesting.
Yeah, they spell it as the country. Very interesting.
All right. Well, as I was saying, I think this might end up being our penultimate rite, the last one in which we take any requests, so let us know if there is anything in particular we would like to see before we start wrapping things up with our liberation rite. If not, we could always just leave it up to the players. That works too. You can break out the archetypes again if you guys would like. That's also an option. Any of those things.
Give me an archetype.
All right. Phaler, you want in on the archetypes as well?
Why not?
Okay. I know Makas has done these before. Phaler, have you done it as well?
I have not.
Okay. But are you familiar with the premise?
It's just a theme for your team.
Basically, yeah. Some a little more specific than others, but that is the idea.
I wish there's some way you could let... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, sometimes more having to do with the way you set up your team, other times more so with how you play it. Okay, let's see. I've rolled for Phaler's player one. Yeah, okay. Let me give Phaler his team.
I wish there was a way we could let chat know which what we're picking so they can kind of see our thought process.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting idea, because on one hand... You're right, that would give chat more information. On the other hand, it would potentially reveal that to your opponent, which I feel like is good to keep that secret.
Yeah, I'm not looking at chat for what that's worth, so...
Okay, I have sent Phaler his team. Let me roll for Makas. And again, the idea is that these are fairly open-ended. There's no one correct way to build them or play them. So up to you to interpret them however you see fit. You don't necessarily need to go 100% all in on them, but it should at least be something that is a component, a major component of your strategy. Let me know if either of you have any clarifying questions. You have now both received your team archetypes. And there are definitely some that we have yet to see. The list is, as I said, it's 33 in total. Why don't I get us into the squad selection screen, as the arena might influence the players to a certain extent.
The fate shall
and it's the boat.
on the true Nightwings. Welcome.
So yeah, you're welcome to DM me if you have any questions about how to interpret your archetype, but hopefully it is straightforward enough. And as I said, there's certainly some flexibility there. As Phaler goes, Prayer Beads Gareth in the lead spot.
You would give me this archetype on the boat, huh?
It's totally a random number generator, I swear.
I think mine is like really good for maps that are not this one.
As I said, some of them are definitely more arena or more subject to the arena than others. Maybe good arenas, maybe bad arenas, maybe the both of you have a bad arena for this one.
I guess, like... that?
Costco's leeching Ignarius, and he is absolutely convinced that that is the way to structure his team.
Yeah, there were no question marks there at all.
maybe I'll give a slight spoiler here. I know at least one of these team archetypes we've never seen before. The other one, I don't think we have either. There's a chance we might have once. But then the other thing is that, of course, everyone might interpret those archetypes differently, both in terms of setup and how to execute in the actual game itself. So that is interesting as well. As that was that an exploding? That was an exploding Snapdra. Baylor with Volfred and Gareth. His last choice is Speedy Ignarius. Whereas McCoss will go Typhoon Bottle on Manly. So alright, here we go. Both players have a specific, randomly selected archetype that they are building around. They know it, but their opponents do not. So we shall see how they execute on those strategies, and I think both of them were saying, maybe this is not the best arena for the archetype that they have, so all the more reason why it'll be interesting to see how they deal with what might not be the most ideal of circumstances. As here is McCoss moving in with the help of the shield from his sap. Throws that one in for 20 with Snapdra. Also, worth noting that some archetype matchups definitely work, or may be favorable toward one of those archetypes. Of course, in a vacuum, as I was saying before, in theory, the goal is not to have any one archetype be objectively better than another, but there are some that are kind of almost like counters to other archetypes, so that can be a factor as well. As Phaler, the quick 20 damage plunge here.
Shall the fate press their luck, perhaps?
Quick counterattack from McCoss, so that is stopped. Now Phaler's turn. His throw, though, intercepted. Here's McCoss. And interesting from Brighton. Also, McCoss is finding it a little bit difficult to get over that particular puddle. Third time's the charm, though, or however many attempts that was. Well, there's a 30 damage plunge with 15 leech, so it certainly does pay off.
Show of strength from the withdrawn foes.
Taylor moving in with Volfred. A little bit of boat slidey magic. Don't tend to think about the boat magic affecting the saps that much. Oh, but opportunity here for McCoss. Wins the orb back very close to Phaler's Pyre, and a quick plunge there for 20 with Snapdra. Iggy, he's blocked, but gets it back. Iggy sets up this 30 damage plunge, and again, 15 leech as well, so net 45 points of value for McCoss there. Quick answer from Phaler, though. It's a 20 damage plunge from Gareth. McCoss trying to set up Snapdra with those sap shields. Phaler, though, once again, quick counter. McCoss, perhaps waiting to get some reinforcements, does eventually find them arriving in the form of Ignarius. And he gets the orb close to Phaler's Pyre, but he is stopped nonetheless, and Phaler, with a little bit of boat magic on his Savage, plunging in here for 20. The Waluigi impression, it was, wasn't it? Iggy. Whoa! Went very high in the air there. Of course, it was the closest of puddles, so it was hard to tell exactly how far he would have flown, but interesting nonetheless. As now Phaler plunges for 20 with his Savage once more. Gareth, gets shoulder smashed. Here comes Comes Macaws. Zap shield, but still not enough to protect Snadra. And now, oh, that is not where Phaler wanted to see that orb land. Within the safety of Macaws' sapling. Snadra shoulder smashes one defender, then brings back the teammates. Manly trying to escape, but instead, Phaler gets the banishment. Gets rid of the orb, oh, and loses Ignarius. Huge exploding sapling play there for Phaler, though, taking out the entirety of Macaws' team, though with the numbing gust, still not a lot that Phaler could do with that. As Macaws gets the orb back here. With Iggy, blocked by the opposing Iggy. Macaws with Iggy. Blocked. Banished. Now Phaler. Gareth, oh, shoulder smashed. And Snadra banished as well. Iggy for Phaler. Leaps over and in. Perhaps with a little bit of assistance from that boat magic. Does mean no Iggy in this round for Phaler. Phaler is, of course, down at 5 Pyre life, but does have a sap, and I don't recall how much rekindling he may or may not have. That is potentially a very significant factor right now, as Macaws plunges in, and there is 10 rekindling. So Phaler does have a second life bar. And oh, was right on top of the Pyre. Could have opted to plunge, but instead went the throwing route, means he keeps Gareth here. Even if it was a little bit less damage, well, now does go the plunging route. It drops Macaws down to 32 Pyre life, which is a little bit more than Phaler can deal with one score, but after that 9 damage throw, suddenly Phaler does have enough damage with either his sap or his demon, but not with his savage. But after that 20 damage plunge, now anything would do. But does Macaws have rekindling? We've seen the numbing gust, so if he does, one would assume it is at most just 10. Here is Macaws though, and with that plunge, takes the win. GG. Well played, GG.
Or you could say they managed to avoid defeat.
If you would like to share what your archetypes were, you are welcome to do so.
This one was weird because it was on the boat. Mine was high press. The description was aggressively pursue your opponent to win the orb back close to their pyre and facilitate easy scores. I don't feel like a lot of that happened here.
That is hard to do on a big map like the boat.
I won the orb back at my pyre a lot.
There was at least one time, Macaws, where I think I saw you win the orb back close to Phaler's pyre. It might have been after you had attacked, but...
Yeah, I was trying to use the shield from the sap to, like, do the aggressive push kind of component to that, but getting the orb back close to his wasn't really gonna work because he was a teleporting savage, so, like, he always had tempo.
Also, Phaler's archetype may have played a bit of a factor in that.
Yeah, so mine was called Safe Build-Up. Structure and or position your team so that even if one of your attacks fail, you're still in a strong defensive position. Defense is not good on the boat. You want to be attacking. So I lost.
So in a vacuum, I would potentially argue that Phaler's archetype there would be a counter to Macaws's, because it makes it harder for Macaws to do those quick counterattacks, but I don't know. The boat does add a big monkey wrench to everything. Yeah, I don't think we had seen the safe build-up, but we definitely had not seen the safe build-up before. I'm not sure if we had seen the high press before from Macaws. I don't remember if anyone has rolled that one previously. There's a chance that's happened once before. But either way, I think that was our penultimate rite, which means it is now time for our final rite of the night, our liberation rite, which means no requests from chat for this one. Both players just taking their preferred teams to finish things off in style, and we should probably do normal Nightwings, right? Yeah. 'Cause that's what it does in the campaign. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, so if you two are ready, let us begin.
Why, hello, exiles. You heed the summons to the fall of Solium. Here you shall be tested by your adversary. Let us determine which of you is the superior. The Fate stand prepared. True Nightwings stand ready. Who shall stand together here this night?
Alright, so as we said, this will be our final rite of the night, our liberation rite, so no requests from chat for this one. Both players just taking their preferred teams to finish things off in style. For Phaler, that's an Aura's scale for the extra jumping distance on Gilman. For Makos, it's a speedy messenger imp. Titan Tooth Tamitha in the second spot for Phaler. Leeching Bertrude in the second spot for Makos. Phaler will go with a quick throwing Palmas with the full rekindling. We'll go Prayer Beads on Tamitha. So alright, here we go, our final rite of the night, our liberation rite. Phaler on the left representing the Fate, Makos on the right representing, I am now realizing for the first time, I forgot to change him from the distance to the True Nightwings. He's a True Nightwings!
Focus up. Was flung right in. The true Nightwing's adversaries gained an edge. A sacred miracle has kept the flames alive. The withdrawn's adversaries gained an edge. And there it is, at last.
GG.
The true Nightwings proved their worth.
Well played, you two.
Please.
Rather
GG's.
convincingly, I must admit. Thus ends the Liberation Rite.
As we were saying, that was our final rite of the night, our Liberation Rite. So thank you everybody who participated in the rites today, and everyone who gave us their requests in chat as well. I am going to hop out of Discord, but I will catch you guys next time. Also, quick thing, I totally remembered to have Macaws be the true Nightwings that entire time. So, you know, that was there the whole time, right? You saw nothing. That definitely wasn't the dissidents for the past hour. Okay, let me see. I think they have both escaped remote play. Let me check. I think so. Seems like it. Let me just throw on this screen right here. Thank you all for stopping by. As I was saying, that was our final rite of the night, our Liberation Rite. So thank you everybody who participated in the rites and everyone who gave us the requests in chat as well. This was, of course, Pyre Community Rite Night, and if you're interested in getting more involved in multiplayer Pyre, then the best way to do so is by joining the Rite Club Discord server, which you can do by clicking on that link right there. My name is Lids. I'm hosting these Rite Nights. My streaming schedule is weeknights. We're doing a combination of Path of Exile 2 and or The First Descendant. Fridays, we're doing Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer. Saturdays, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. And then obviously Sundays, this Pyre multiplayer. Then Lids Vids on YouTube as well, posting the VODs for all those streams, so if you missed anything, you can catch it there as well. Also doing some Hades 2 videos straight to YouTube, and as you guys may very well be aware of, there was a new Hades 2 update not that long ago for us to look into. But if you haven't done so yet already, of course, you can also hit the follow button to get a notification for when I go live. Also at Lids Vids on Twitter. I post there when I go live as well, but actually the best place to stay up to date on all things Lids is my Discord, which you can join by clicking on that link right there. But that's going to be it for me for tonight, so thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and I'll catch you next time.